Yane Borough Council Workshop is called to order. Would you give us the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First order of business is our roll call. Mayor Hopkins.
Present.
President Sharon Council Harris present. Vice President Loren Johnson is absent. She's out ill tonight. Councilor Jones Waters.
Present.
Councilor Carlette Brooks. Councilor Nicole Beatty.
Present.
Councilor Latoya Monroe. Councilor Leanna Roadcliffe.
Here.
Solicitor Mr. Boggs.
Present.
Nafis Nichols is absent tonight. He has a prior family engagement. Yolanda Hughes, our tax collector. Mr. Vacuso, our engineer.
Present.
Okay. First order of business on our agenda. Just a moment. I think I left my agenda for you. Over there. This is not.
No, it's not.
There you go. That's what I thought it says. Um, Mr. Dodson is on vacation, so he's out. If there's any old business, that would be under his report. Any new business would also be under his report. The president's report, I will just simply give an overview of some of the matters that were at our last council meeting that I'd like to have our engineer and/or someone from Public Works address. The quiet street activity. There's a proposal to quiet some of the fast traffic that's going through the borough. So I'd like, as a point of reference, I'd like to have that revisited at this night's meeting. In addition to that, there's going to be a town hall tomorrow, a virtual town hall from myself to kind of go over some of the situations that has occurred in the borough over the past 4 months, particularly public safety issues we'd like to address from a presidential standpoint, and also some budgetary matters that are going to be given a thorough presentation on, as well as some updates on the status of litigation in this borough. And so we want to make sure that the broader public, particularly the broader concentration of citizens here, residents here, will have a clear fact-finding opportunity to get their questions answered and get some of their concerns addressed. So that will be tomorrow night. We have approximately 20 persons responding to the invitation to the Zoom. And so there are a collection of questions that have been posed that we will administratively give answers to. And that is involved in my report. So next, for the manager, as I've indicated, he's not here. We will hear his report when he returns.
I have a question for something you spoke on with your report.
Go right ahead.
Regarding the town hall schedule for tomorrow. I saw a flyer floating around. It looks like the Honorable Joanne Clinton and Senator Williams is included in this town hall. Are they going to be in attendance or not be in attendance?
They have approved their staff. Senator Williams is not able to be because of personal matters, and state rep, so he will not be there, but his staff person, two people from his office will be present on that Zoom. Also for State Representative Joanna McClinton, I confirmed and received her approval for someone from her staff. She has a conflicted scheduling as well. They were invited within a week's time, and of course, they would have needed a lot longer ability to meet their prior scheduled events. So yes, they will have people there from their office to, of course, respond to the needs of the citizens here, residents here, and their constituents from an administrative perspective.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Counselor, but maybe you didn't have an opportunity to review your email this afternoon, but you did receive an email from the senator's office specifically saying that on December 3rd, 2022, Mr. Norman called on behalf of Senator Williams to inform you that he could not attend the scheduled town hall meeting. Senator Williams had surgery, and his participation is not possible. Ms. Norman called to notify you, but have not gotten a response. Further, there is a flyer bearing the senator's name. For the reasons previously stated, we ask that you remove his name and picture. Thank you. That email was sent today at 11:08 a.m. To you, actually, to you. And then Ms. Norman forwarded that same email to all counselors at 9 p.m. this evening. So it does not appear that the senator nor anyone from his office will be in attendance for that meeting. And it looks like from the date of this email, the date and time of this email, you had prior notice of that information. As far as Representative Clinton is concerned, I'm not sure that she's going to be in attendance or anyone from her office. So I just wanted to make that clear since Senator Williams' office did forward something in writing to all of us.
Well, Counselor, I have not read or reviewed any of the information you just gave, and I will follow up at the appropriate time for that. I have not heard or reviewed any email at all from either of them. So I will
Any other counselor could receive that email, or is it just me?
So, yeah, I received the email as well.
Well, we certainly will. I will certainly follow up.
I didn't see the email, but I did speak to Senator Williams, who said he was not aware of any of that, but that after the fact, he was going to try to send somebody, so I don't know if he scuttled that or whatever, but he seemed like he was blindsided by the whole thing.
Well, listen, let me just say this. When I reached out to the senator's office, I called his private number, and he had his secretary call me, Joy. She said to me that the senator had my message and that he was going to be having hip replacement surgery, and that she was to get in touch with me, that both herself and his staff assistant would be present. He would not be present. Now, I do understand that several calls were made to his office. For whatever reason, people have to do that, trying to somehow derail the senator speaking to you, his constituents. So my response to you, there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to deny, but I think it's very interesting that anyone would be interested in not having any counselor on this platform, not having your senator who you elected to represent you and to provide, excuse me, and for him to respond to you that elected him, that put him in office, why he would not want to engage leadership in this community, particularly myself, who wants to give a positive support to what putting Yaden first means. And so I invited them to respond to you. And I stand by that. I will invite them 15 times. Not only did I do that before, I would not put the senator's picture or Joanna McClinton's picture on a flyer without them having prior authorization. Not only that, I have a text message from State Representative Joanna McClinton. Says that she has a conflict. She didn't have a conflict at first, that she would plan to be there. She then sent me a text saying that she has to initiate a new ministry at her church or a Sunday school ministry at her church, and that she has a conflict. And because of that, she would not be able to be there, but she sent the text, send the flyer, send the link. She would have someone from her office to be there. I don't have any reason to sit here and tell you anything different. They're your state representatives, they're your state senator, and they have state support services that they can provide to this community in the situation that we're in the past 4 months with 6 deaths in 4 months in this town. So this is a call to action for them. It's a call to action for support. And that is why this town meeting is very important to communicate what is going on here and what we can do as a community, as leadership here, what we can do to improve and maintain the quality of life that Yaden residents have been accustomed to all these years. Excuse me, yes. And it's important to give respect here.
Council President, I'm asking to be recognized.
You are recognized, Councilor.
Thank you. I actually served with Senator Williams on another board, and he told us even on that board that he would be out of commission for a while. So my concern isn't just that you invited them. Of course, an invitation is always welcome, but there was no acceptance. And to be able to put that out to the community.
And you're not, that is not,
It's respect.
Counselor, you're wrong.
Ask for respect.
Counselor, you're wrong.
I have the floor now.
You have the floor, but what you're saying is not
So
true.
It is very true.
It is not true.
I received notification from Senator Williams that he wouldn't be present for our board over a week ago because this was a pre-scheduled surgery. This wasn't an emergency surgery. This wasn't something relating to a recent injury. This was scheduled, and he let us know that he would not be available from this date until this date, before this flyer was created, before it was circulated, and before it was published. And for people who want to move Yaden forward together, this is not the way to do it. You're proposing to have a town hall where you have to call in, put your questions in ahead of time, and you've already placed a disclaimer that not all questions will be answered. Since January 3rd, we have been asking for virtual access to meetings for the public. And we have not been able to figure that out. We haven't been able to figure that out in 11 months. But now all of a sudden, you want to be heard without being interrupted and to pick and choose who can talk and what questions you'll answer. And now you figured out how to make that virtual. This is disingenuous to the public. There are more people here, live and in person, than would be in attendance at that meeting tomorrow. I think these people who come out day after day, month after month, to take charge of this borough, which is their right, they should be honored. The senator declined early on. If McClinton had a conflict later down the line, okay. but the senator declined before this was even an event. He actually even mentioned it and said that originally he wanted it scheduled for the 8th. And if he couldn't make it on the 8th, he surely couldn't make it on the 6th.
I have not spoken to the senator about any appointment on the 8th or any other time, Counselor. That is not true. And I certainly was not aware of the senator's hip replacement until I spoke with his secretary on Thursday afternoon. So that, and yes, we have to, yes.
The
So,
flyer did not get posted until Friday. He just told us to do on Thursday.
Counselor, you want to split hairs about when the, excuse me, you can't scream out, honey. You can't scream out. Thank you. All right, we're gonna proceed with this meeting.
So I do have one more statement with respect to that meeting that you're planning to have tomorrow. And I just want to refresh your memory, just in case you forgot. But if I'm not mistaken, the majority of council also voted against having any of us being able to the live stream that meeting. I'm like, please, you need to shut it down. Yeah, because I was providing free Zoom service for the constituents, and you subsequently decided to have ordinance passed saying that councilors are no longer allowed to live stream in the chambers.
Okay, Counselor, let me
And
get
that
clear.
was your response to me providing the people access to our meetings via Zoom. So
Counselor,
now you're having the Zoom meeting.
Counselor, let me clarify for the audience here and for you and anyone else that you may share this information with. It was referred to, and the mayor can attest to this, during the pandemic, a state of emergency was called from the governor, and to the mayor. And you cannot have a legislative, you cannot have a legislative meeting unless there's a declaration of an emergency.
That's not true. That's
Excuse me.
We're not talking about having.
Excuse me.
We were talking about having
Excuse me.
access to a live meeting. Those are two different things.
And-
We are
and
talking
as
about
far
access to a live
Okay,
meeting,
ma'am,
not
that is not
It's
correct.
best to not
The mayor is
Mr. Boggs, Mr. Boggs,
Just don't say anything.
Mr. Boggs is the solicitor. Would you please make the distinction for clarification of the residents here? Because whatever the councilors are disagreeing about, that's their prerogative. The facts are, you cannot have a legislative meeting, a voting meeting, where there's no declaration. Mayor, am I correct about that? Where there's no declaration of an emergency, either from the governor or from the mayor?
Put me on the
Put you on the
spot.
spot.
Yeah, I believe what the other councils were saying, the way we were doing things until the change in January is that the issue is providing access via Zoom. And I don't believe that has anything to do with the mayor's declaration. The mayor's declaration has to do with gatherings and what is allowed, and what, masks and social distancing and things like that. And it could go to the extent of shutting down Borough Hall, which we did for a short period of time. But as far as the access to electronically, that was stopped, and I don't think there's any reason to stop that. That's my honest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
understanding, okay?
Thank you. The Zoom is not a legislative meeting. There is no Robert's Rules of Order. It is a town meeting, and there's no restriction and no regulation anywhere that says we can't do it. And this town meeting is not, excuse me, Counselor.
Counselor. People. You're insulting.
Counselor, you are spreading division here. You're spreading division here.
Intelligence.
No.
Stop telling untruths.
Counselor, you are wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong. You yelling out.
The mayor just gave an answer. Hybrid meetings are permissible. We cannot have a meeting that's 100% Zoom absent the declaration.
Counselor, that is not
We can
true.
offer Zoom
That is not
and meet in
true.
person. Mr. Boggs, are we able to offer a hybrid meeting?
As long as there are 4 counselors in the room, you can do whatever you want.
Thank you.
The other thing is, the other thing is the mayor's forum,
Facebook
Ma-
is also
ma-
televised.
the mayor's forum has always been hybrid. This past mayor's forum is the first time we didn't have electronic because we couldn't hook it up in time, but that's always been, I think the issue is how inclusive do we want to be with a community where there are elderly folks and others rushing home from work, whatever, babysitting issues that can't make it personally. And I think what the councilors are fairly trying to lay out is, can't we try to go back to some kind of hybrid? That's all. I don't think there's any controversy. That's all.
I don't have any research on that, Mayor, and I'm not going to speak to it.
Our solicitor
And
just.
so, the solicitor,
Are we
counselor,
going to take a vote of no confidence in the solicitor?
okay, now,
Or
please,
are we just reserving that for the mayor?
yes. I don't want to be here till 10 o'clock, so there's quite a bit of business to attend to here. Now we're going to move on to,
Well, you said
Just a
the
moment.
borough manager, I don't see his report, but I did have some questions with respect to, some grants.
you won't be able to answer the questions tonight because neither the finance director nor the manager is here.
But you're the
And they're going, no ma'am. Those questions will be deferred to those persons, both the finance director and the manager. Counselor, you can't put words in my mouth. Counselor, you will be able to direct those questions to the persons who can give you the answers. Yes.
So you don't know.
Counselor, you cannot put words in my mouth. Well, Counselor,
Ask a question.
no, I'll call you up in just a few
I
moments.
don't want to get up, I want to ask a question to something.
No, well, you have to ask the question within the context of your
Then
form.
why are we all the way at the end? of the
Counselor,
agenda?
counselor,
When we should be at the beginning.
I know.
Sunshine.
Yes, I remember. All right.
So I would just like to briefly,
No, listen, no, you're not recognized. No, we're going to move the agenda, Counselor, we're going to move the
this is
agenda.
about grants for our borough. Do you want me to deny the
Well,
people of information?
Let me give you this. When the engineer gives his report, excuse me, no.
You don't.
You need to.
You don't want.
Counselor, why are you so disruptive? Why are you so disruptive? There's no order here, ma'am. There's no order when you do that.
Right.
There's no order when you do that. Yeah, what-
Information.
I'm glad you're on camera. I'm glad you're on camera. Yes, thank you.
We are real glad.
Wow. Good grief.
Where are we on this agenda?
We're trying to get there, but all of the distractions. Just a moment. Not even there.
I said we can't do that with our life.
No, the old business and new business. It's the- Mr. Boggs, would you come with your report, please?
We're already at solicitor.
Yeah, we're there. Because they're not here. Yeah, we mentioned it. They're not here, and their reports will be given at our legislative session.
So the only thing that I had was what I emailed. I won't go through the ordinance. You have the ordinance in your email. You also have a hard copy tonight. The only thing that we really needed to discuss at some point is where in our borough code we want to put this new ordinance. We could just put it at the end. It doesn't really go in that last section. I did attach the taxation code so that you can see that we've already used all the other numbers. But that's, it's a minor detail, but that was really the only thing I thought I needed to bring to council's attention before we put it on an agenda to vote on it. We have until January 9th to pass this.
And could you give an overview of it?
Sure. It just has to do with real estate taxes. When we've talked about it a lot, when someone doesn't get notice, whether they don't get their mail, they move, whatever ends up happening, there's a process now passed by the Commonwealth that allows someone to claim that they didn't get notice for their real estate taxes and not have to pay any kind of delinquency. There's a process in which it has to, the resident has to go through. This is for every borough in Pennsylvania. It's almost like a directive that we have to pass this. We have to make this a part of our code. But really, the only thing that we have to decide is where in our code we want to put it.
Okay, so, Mr. Rath, thank you for presenting this, but I think that's a little unfortunate that we don't have our borough manager or our finance director here to discuss this, because it will have a financial impact on us. We discount taxes for those who pay early, but we also do have those penalties that we later sell once, at the end of the year, we sell them, and we receive that as income to the borough while they pursue collection. So, with the words on here are okay, but, we need to know exactly how this is going to impact the borough financially. Should we not be permitted to collect the delinquent taxes?
I don't think it has that quite of an impact, but regardless, it's passed by the state. We don't have a whole lot of choice here. But I think it is more of a process for those that can show that they didn't actually get notice of the taxes. I don't believe that is going to be, that's a large percentage of those that are in delinquency. But if I guess we.
I wouldn't expect you to know, not being the finance director.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just saying that, when it comes to the deficit that we're already facing, this is, we'd like to know how the impact it's going to have on our community. Understanding that any deficit has to be made up by tax dollars. So if we can't collect one way, we're going to have to collect another way. And that way it's going to be to raise savings. So I just.
All right, thank you.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Very clear about that.
I'm going to call Mr. Kuso, if you'll come up, please. Our engineer, borough engineer.
Thank you. Two things to bring to council's attention. If you recall, a couple months ago, you had authorized us to prepare an evaluation of this building. That report was prepared and sent to Mr. Isaac and Mr. Nichols. We then subsequently met about 3 weeks ago with Isaac to go over the report, and what we've been asked to do is to prioritize that report into what we're calling first year, second year, third to fifth year priorities. So I hope to have that report prioritized in the next. In fact, I looked at the preliminary report of that late last week. I hope to have that sometime this week and back to the borough so that can be prioritized for budgeting purposes. We have a series of storm sewer repairs that have to be made throughout the borough, and I've itemized them as items A through G. At this point, they would be 2023 budget items. Again, these have been sent to Mr. Nichols. He had asked me to put together the capital projects for next year, so they've been sent to him. And again, I don't know if it's council's privilege or they want to approve these prior to next year, approving tonight to get them in the queue, or if you want to wait till some future time. But that's the North Providence project that we've talked about many times here in the easement that the solicitor had to obtain. Whitby Avenue in Longacre, 626 West Cobbs Creek Parkway, Revere Road in Parmley, 645 Church Lane, Lansdowne Avenue and Providence Road, and Fern and West Cobbs Creek Parkway. And these all came via the Public Works from Mike's office of work and repairs that needed to be done. And then lastly, the annual contracts are out to bid. We hope to, we will take bids on these prior to the council meeting in December and hope to have a recommendation to award those bids at the December 15th council meeting. I think earlier, Council President asked me to talk about, I assume we're talking about the traffic calming policy. So there's been a number of requests for speed humps. It's sort of like the number one thing that people think about when they talk about speed humps or traffic calming is a speed hump. What we did was we sent a draft ordinance that we have seen adopted in other municipalities to the borough. Traffic calming doesn't always have to be a speed hump. There's a number of things that can be done. But the more important thing is it should involve the residents on the street. It shouldn't be a single resident making the request and then a single response to it, because our experience is that when you put some traffic calming in effect because someone in the middle of the block wants it done, other people, and then it gets implemented, other people that live on the street or in the neighborhood are not in favor of it. So they're usually preceded. What the traffic calming policy says, and again, it would be an ordinance, is that you would a request would come from a borough resident or members of the street or a community. We would have a public meeting that borough council and the residents would attend. We'd look at the situation, make recommendations as to what we think the policy should be. And so, for example, you go down Longacre and you got that kind of circle in the middle. That's a traffic calming element, right? It doesn't always have to be a speed hump, because they are aggravating. They're aggravating for residents to drive over them all the time. They're aggravating for police and fire, and they have to be taken into consideration also, emergency services. So that's something that we can look at early next year. And again, we've got a number of requests beyond the speed hump that we're looking to get implemented at the intersection of McDade and Church.
Okay, all right.
So unless there's any
I have a
questions.
few questions for you, sir.
Okay.
So, McDade, since you ended with McDade and Church, let's talk about that. There has been extensive conversations around McDade and Church,
Right.
and there's not enough work being done around McDade and Church. We've had feasibility studies done, we've had PennDOT come in, this has crossed over 2 engineers, and we're still having accidents there multiple times a month, sometimes multiple in a weekend.
Right.
So when is it that, like, I understand that you say that, it can't just be one resident. It's been dozens of residents who have complained about that intersection and asking for traffic calming devices in that area for years. And we had a plan in place in a prior administration that doesn't seem to be being carried out at this time, including directional change, lighting change, and a bunch of other things. Has your company taken on that task, or are we still just talking about it?
No, so a follow over, you're right, multiple engineers, because traffic planning and design was approved by Borough Council late last year, before I came on in January, and they continued to work on that project. And that project has been approved now by PennDOT for the directional change and for the traffic signal implementation. The matter of the speed hump, so let me back up a little bit. When the first serious accident, well, not the first one, but the accident happened in I guess it was around September-ish of last year, August, September. We met out there with PennDOT, with the police, and with Jeff was still here at the time. And there were a number of immediate implementations that were done. More lighting was put into it. But one of the major things that we wanted to get done outside of the traffic planning and design directional change was to get a speed hump put on McDade, just east of the intersection. PennDOT, we've been working back and forth with PennDOT on this thing. The emails, there's literally 10 or 20 of them. And where it is right now is that PennDOT, we've submitted all the plans to PennDOT. They pushed it up, the District 6 office pushed it up to central office for final approval. So we're just waiting on that final approval to get that done. If they approve that, hopefully in January, then that speed hump can be put in place immediately. Now, the other work, the traffic planning and design got permitted, that goes back like that I said later last year. That's about $500,000 worth of work, because you just can't put the one-way signs on the street. It requires traffic signal improvements that are very expensive. So the borough got a grant for like $1.8 million to do work on Cobb's Creek Parkway. And what we've been working with the state on is to implement that work the traffic planning design wants to do into the West Cobb's Creek Parkway project, so it can all be part of that to get, so that the borough isn't faced with that entire bill for that intersection. But I know it sounds simple that you can just put one-way signs, but
Oh, no, I'm not reporting that it sounds simple at all.
it's just a process, and we're there, it's been approved,
But I just
100%
also
approved.
want to let you know that the accident that you're speaking of in October, that was the 7th accident
Right.
at the Williams residence.
Right.
Just at the Williams residence.
And they're
Right.
moving out.
Okay, so I just to let you know the gravity of what this.
And the Williams themselves, as you know, after that accident, came back and put more bollards in, more fencing in. They
And it
did
was
some
knocked
more-
down last weekend again.
So this is
What-
what.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
It was not.
It was knocked down again last weekend.
So that's what I'm
Again.
saying, like, this is what the community is facing. So I think what the community would appreciate would be maybe a timeline or a schedule. You know,
Okay.
that we have when this work is gonna be done, rather than, continue to talk about it, or even some updates
Right.
before the next accident.
We really had hoped to get it done with that work we were going to do in December. The problem is that PennDOT wants, where you have the traditional speed hump that comes across the street entirely, what PennDOT wants to put there is what they use in the city of Philadelphia. They have another name. There's sort of split in the middle, and it's a side-by-side speed hump. I go over one at 20th and Market all the time, and that's what they want to put at that intersection. So, it is, they're required to approve it, because McDade for that block is a state highway. So we're kind of, I don't want to say caught up in the bureaucracy, but we are, but we're literally almost there,
Okay,
okay?
okay, and then,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really believe, in my professional opinion, once that speed hump is in place, you will not be able to come through that intersection. If you come in through that intersection with any kind of speed, you're going to wreck your car before you're going to wreck anybody's property. I mean, so I think that speed hump will be the solution to this problem, at least the solution before we change it to one way and all that.
And let me add, those two residents have put their house up for sale
Wow.
because they can no longer, they're being persecuted, bombarded. Even last weekend, I was waking at 1:30 in the morning, mayor come out, they did it again. And they crashed, they barreled through those, and into their property, and thank God for the tree, which prevented another head-on collision.
What's hard to believe is
They put their house, so we don't want to lose.
it seems
good
like this should have been 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and we don't want to lose good residents either. I mean, these are great residents, when they lose, and then, so it's got to be solved.
Almost there.
okay, thank you. And then, you also did a feasibility study for a recreation center that the borough subsequently used to apply for a $1 million grant sometime in March that we were denied for, because that study showed that the full cost of the grant the full cost of the center exceeded the request about 4 times over. When we applied for that grant, there were other opportunities for grants that the senator made us aware of that would provide $100,000 to the borough of Gaydon, and $100,000 that the borough of Gaydon could then allow the Nile Swim Club to do projects with. So we were recently informed that that portion of the grant was not applied for. Does that have anything to do with your engineering firm?
No. I mean, I did speak with Mr. Dotson about the $100,000 about a week and a half ago.
We missed the deadline, I was
Yeah.
told.
So that was like late in the process, but we knew that the $1 million grant was only going to be a start to the project. I mean, we knew that going in. That as you said, our cost estimate clearly showed that it was only a small portion, or a portion of what was going to be needed to build that rec center. So
rather than apply for money that the senator had earmarked for our borough decided to kind of roll the dice and apply for money that would equate to about 1/5 of a recreation center without a plan to secure the other 4/5.
Well, again, they were, I mean, from a timeline standpoint, they were months apart, but we did apply for the one back in March, as you indicated, the $1 million. And then this $100,000 that, you know, came up a couple weeks ago.
So it didn't just come up a couple weeks ago. That actually should have been a second and third project that was applied for under the same grant with the same timeline
Okay.
that you all applied for. The
I don't know anything, I really don't know anything about
Okay,
that.
so you didn't help with those two.
No.
Okay, thank you. So now that money is just inaccessible
That's
to our
our
community.
borough manager.
That money is now inaccessible to our community because the deadline was missed. That's no fault of your own, but I'm just letting our residents who came out here know that that money is now inaccessible. The money that the senator's been promising, the money that our borough manager, council president, and everyone else has been promising to the Nile and to the borough. It's all inaccessible because the borough didn't meet the deadline.
And 95,000 that we're paying. So do not say.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
you're done? All right. Thank you, Mr.
So your office could not have been responsible for applying for the grant that Senator Williams was offering to our borough, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I don't really, I mean, we track every grant that we know of, we track. I don't know much about that grant other than I think it was something particular that the senator had, but, you know, it wasn't on our radar screen, so.
Yeah, I know we missed it.
It was actually the proceeds from the casino. So it's a newer grant. It's been in existence
So
2
what
years.
did you know about it, Counselor?
I knew
What did
about
you-
it. I knew about it when the Nile Swim Club contacted
So
me.
did you
and asked me
share
about
that
it.
with Mr.
It was
Dotson?
well asked me
Yes.
I mean, did you share it?
Yes, actually, Nicole Beatty shared it with Mr. Dotson via email in March.
Okay.
Senator Williams' office sent that information to us, and he's been promising us this money, assuming that we did our part in applying.
Yeah, but Counselor, if you knew about it,
Yes,
why didn't
we
you,
did.
why didn't you
But
bring it
I-
to us before
We
now?
did in March.
But I haven't, this is the first I heard of it.
Counselor,
Counselor, if you know something that's gonna benefit
we
the
did.
if you know something.
Point entirely.
It was
No,
sent.
not missing
It
the
was
point,
sent.
Ms. Beagle.
Senator Williams'
The
line.
gentleman says he doesn't know anything
It was
about it.
sent.
And if you know about it,
You
then you
had
should
the
tell us.
information in
You
March.
should tell us, and you should
did.
tell the residents. You should, yes, yeah, the mic. If you have good information,
Yes.
and you see that it's not acted upon, then you should keep, Counselor, why didn't you beat the drum? You beat the drum for everything else. Why didn't you beat the drum for that? If you're friends with the senator and you talk to the senator all the time, why wouldn't you?
Are you gonna allow me to answer that?
Why wouldn't you keep telling us? No, I have the mic.
Okay, so
I got the mic. Talk to
You
the.
asked me
Well, yes.
I'd like to answer.
No, I want you to answer. Listen here,
You asked me a question. I'd like to answer.
Okay, answer now.
I'd like to answer. She does, he clearly doesn't want me to answer the
I
question.
asked you. Why didn't you in your life?
Here, let me answer. Let me answer. Let me answer.
Okay.
Let me
Look,
answer.
ma'am, we're not gonna do this. Mayor, you're up. Mayor, no, I can't give it to you. I gotta give it to you because I'm not going to the answers. I'm not going to go for the antics, Mayor. I'm not going to the antics. Not doing it, sir. You have a report that I want to. We're not gonna. Counselor Beatty, you said you knew about it.
I knew about it.
You told Mr. Dotson. So Mr. Dotson is not here to respond. So we're not gonna keep tooting the horn
But
about
don't
it.
say we didn't know anything about it, we didn't do anything about it. That's not.
No, in
That's
good
not our
faith.
job.
Counselor, in good faith, if the senator has money for the borough and has money for the Nile, in good faith, we would constantly talk about it until
And you
something was
did.
done about it.
And you
And
did.
hold on,
We
hold on.
did.
And if you notice that a deadline is coming up, and you were aware of the deadline,
First of all, that is
Councilor
my
Beatty.
job to follow up with him.
yeah, but Councilor
It's the
Beatty,
borough manager's job to follow up with the grant. That's his job, that he gets
Councilor
paid.
Beatty, but Councilor Beatty,
So,
Councilor
once
Beatty.
I'm going to see, the problem is, I'm not gonna let you try to put this on us. The bottom
I'm not-
line
I'm
is,
not- I'm not trying to-
The borough manager was supposed to follow up and meet the deadline. He was given the information in March. There is no excuse for him not to be able to do that from March until December. So how much of a lie do you need?
Counselor.
Ride you about something from
Counselor.
March to December.
Counselor,
Either you don't know what you're doing, or you're too prideful and ask for the help that you need to do.
Counselor, it's
Either
not,
way, that's not the
Counselor.
That's on him.
Counselor.
He dropped the ball, he blew it, and we're gonna miss out on money.
So-
Because we got a borough manager who don't know what he's doing.
Counselor,
So you can't put that on us.
I'm-
He was
I'm not.
giving him-
She won't allow me to have another mic. There's only one mic.
I emailed Isaac.
Yes.
And I thought because he wanted to be the borough manager, and y'all applauded the fact that, yeah.
Counselor, everybody,
He was supposed to do his job.
but Counselor, for real, for real.
So he moved.
For real, for real.
For real. He was-
For real, for
To
real.
members, he
If
blew his
it was gonna,
do.
but Counselor, what mistakes have we all made? What oversights have we all made? No, I'm saying to you, so, look, girl, you know I'm not going there. But I do want to say this. If $100,000 is a lot of money.
It was
A lot of money
it's
that
a lot.
could get, $100,000 is a lot of money that the town could have benefited from. And that the Nile Swim Club could have benefited from. If it was information that was available and that was given, and you see the person didn't do it, then in good faith, you could have nudged him again and said, hey, the deadline is coming up. That's all I'm saying. I mean, what would you do with other people? Now, I don't want to be here till 10 o'clock. I don't know about the rest of you.
So you telling me I gotta be Isaac's supervisor, but you need to pay me more than $95,000 a year since I got supervisors.
Mayor, I believe a
And
question was
I
asked.
supervise. That's-
I am gonna allow,
Counselor,
I have to.
Thank you. So a question was asked of me. And I will say that it was the same, under the same application where they applied for the $1 million for 1/5 of a recreation center without knowledge of how we would gain the other 4/5 to pay for this recreation center. Under that same application, you were able to submit multiple projects. The senator has been talking to us about giving the borough $100,000.
I have never
And
spoken to the
absolutely,
senator about it.
and,
He's never spoken to me about it.
and allotting $100,000 for the Nile Swim Club.
Send me
Mr.
the-
Dotson sat here and told us about it. Council President sat here and told us
you
about
did
it.
not. No, I did not.
And for months, we've been hearing about it.
no, we haven't.
When when Nile, it was in Isaac's report. So when the Nile Swim Club contacted me, and I had a conversation with our finance director, our senator, and members of our senator's office, the confusion came because they were under the impression that the borough filed for this application for this grant when they filed for the one for the recreation center. That never happened. That is the responsibility of our borough manager. Anyone who has been paying attention to Yaden Borough prior to January 3rd will know that over $5 million per year came in under NJN for grants because we applied. If you don't apply, you don't get them. The borough dropped the ball and lost that money. Thank you, Mayor.
Any grants at all
right.
from the borough.
I-
We got it from the
all right.
engineer, but.
Let me,
Mayor, the mayor has the floor.
Okay.
All the
Councilor,
grants
I mean,
from Mr.
Former counselor, would you let the mayor speak,
All right,
please?
so,
Thank you.
for my report, I want to start by reporting, folks, that we held the fourth Mayor's Quarterly Forum on last Thursday, December 1st, in these chambers, in this auditorium. And we had about the same amount of people, 25, 30 people. It was well attended. Mayor's Forum is always cozy. We give out, it's something that my wife, First Lady, and I do. We give out refreshments. We actually have really nice sandwiches.
Yes, you do.
We do. And we have giveaways. There's $25 gift certificates, $10 gift certificates, and you're not going to find that on any AP list, I guarantee you that. It's just
Okay,
a
Mayor.
gift from my wife and I to the residents. But we had a great time. We reported, the main thing was reporting on the crime and the status of our public safety. We've had 6 deaths, tragedies, 2 in the holding cell, 4 executions in this gateway there on Whitby Avenue that turns into North Long Acre. And there were executions in that. There were those 4 people were shot, were executed in Yaden within 4 weeks. One young man, I believe he was 16 years old, he had the bullet-ridden body found in North Long Acre, and we know that it happened there because the shell casings were found there next to the body. And then 2 weeks later, a white male was found with a single bullet hole in his head, and the casing was there as well. And many of these coincided with 911 calls of her hearing gunshots, so we know that it happened in Yaden. So that was a major concern. And then we had an issue with the social space like 2 weeks later, where it turned out to be 5 gunmen was responsible for mowing down a young victim, a young couple, 20 and 21, that attended a birthday party right here at a social space, and they were followed to the parking lot, and they were mowed down with over 60 bullets. And that's never happened, I don't believe, in Yaden since I've been here. So something is happening. Yeah, and I'll get to that. Something's happening here. Ironically, we got the evidence of the shooters from Restore Dispensary, because they have an elaborate camera system. They have, 30 to 40, you heard at the zoning hearing, cameras. And they ironically, I didn't know the impact of having them in our community, but one of the impacts is we haven't had any complaints from that, from that establishment. And they actually were gracious enough to cooperate and provide us with camera footage, extensive camera footage that helps us to identify the shooters. 4 of them are still at large. 1 was arrested at the scene, who was found hiding in a car. The prisoner was incarcerated in Darby Borough. That's the other thing with the deaths in the cell and the meltdown in our security, public safety apparatus. A lot of it because of lack of staffing, which I'll get into in a minute. We've reached a conclusion that we're not safe to hold prisoners. Our holding cell is not safe to hold prisoners, so we can't responsibly take on that responsibility anymore until 3 things happens. Number 1, the chief's issue is resolved. Number 2, we're up to full staffing. And number 3, all the investigations with the recommendations are finished. So until those 3 things happen, we will not hold any other prisoner in our cell because it is not safe. In the interim, we did follow through in installing new monitors and new cameras and sound system that works in the holding cell, so that's an improvement that was installed, I believe, a week or two ago, and I took a look at it, so it is working well. But again, we won't use it until all those criteria have been filled and satisfied. And now, as far as the staffing, we've been sounding the drums that we need officers, and it's really reached a critical state. There is a shortage of officers, full-time officers around the country. My organization at Delaware River Port Authority can't find enough police, and they have great benefits, and I think their salary is very, very high, but still can't find police. Washington DC police is recruiting here in Philadelphia, trying to find folks, offering them a $20,000 signing bonus. Okay, a good salary and benefits. So we need a civil service commission to be up and running. And we also need to take a look at our salaries, because I believe it's very low, and it has to be competitive, or that's not going to work either, because they're just going to go elsewhere. They have their choice. They could go almost anywhere. As far as the staffing is concerned, we have, we're allotted 21 full-time police officers. We're currently at 16. In January, we have 2 full-time officers retiring, and I'll have to ignore that. And it's also harder in that one is a detective and the other, that's mine. I think it's mine.
Yeah, that's you.
Is it mine? Sorry. Yeah, one's a sergeant and one is a detective. And the way that works, they're civil service jobs, so that makes it even harder to fill. Because first you have to fill a regular patrol officer, because it's in that pool of officers. Then you have to offer a sergeant's exam, which also goes for detective. And then they have to pass the sergeant's exam. Now, why do I know that that was difficult? Because I was chairman of the Civil Service Commission in Yaden for 7 years. And we've been through this road before, where we had, it was hard to get officers back then, 15, 20 years ago. And then when we needed a sergeant, we gave the test and nobody passed. Then you had to wait a certain time period. We gave the test and try to get the officers to hone up on their skills and take courses, and again, nobody passed. And then we offered again in 2-person, 1 pass with the 70, which was passing, 1 pass, I think, with a 71. So, process is not easy. So the higher the rank, the harder it is to fill. So 16 minus 2, that's going to retire in January, will bring us down to 14. I also have word that 2 officers are going to imminently quit or transfer, because they don't like the atmosphere here, and they're under a lot of stress, and they could go elsewhere in better working conditions. So they're about to resign and take positions elsewhere. If that happens, the 14 will now be down to 12. On top of that, we have 2 officers that are out long-term injury, so that then we'll be down to 10.
Okay.
I
So
have a question.
So basically, that's where we stand in our, one other thing, one real quick, in our staffing, we're in dire straits, and we need to get this up and running post haste. Short of that, I'm gonna have to try to get the state to come in or somebody, because if we can't, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna have to try. And then the other thing is we're establishing an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with Upper Darby, that if we do get prisoners in the interim, we could house them in Upper Darby and not here. The one that we did have, thank God, Darby took them. So we didn't have to, and the officers are drilled, right, Lieutenant Burns, that we ain't taking no prisoners in the cell. Don't want that mistake, don't want an oversight. We ain't taking no prisoners in our cell. That's clear, correct? Yes, sir. Thank you. Questions?
Quick question for those some of you may or may not remember, I was in the Civil Service Commission. It was never this much of a holdup. So what seems to be, what's holding up the Civil Service Commission from getting people in this thing up and going?
The process rests with council, just like the hiring and firing. The council has, the council has to appoint the counselors. I understand that we have applications. The borough manager is the point person to organize that. And I've talked to Isaac Dotson, and he did say that, and I said, look, you understand. So I've been working behind the scene to light a flame, a fire under this initiative, because we're vulnerable.
Do you know how many applicants?
I believe Ms. Liz has one application in. I believe Trent, Mr. Trent, Michael Trent has one as another applicant. I believe that, Wooten, I believe, is he still on?
I appointed him in January,
Yeah, so he's still on.
and he is the chair for
Yeah,
that committee.
so that will be the two.
He was appointed chair.
And I was also told that, Councilor Loren Johnson put in her application. I was told.
Loren Johnson?
That's what I was told by the borough. That's what I was told by the borough. But anyway,
Mayor got a good meeting.
all right,
Mayor,
yeah.
I remind you that at the last meeting, knowing that we had at least three applicants already, Isaac Johnson informed us that he was waiting for more applicants.
Yeah, we don't need to wait for any more. I've expressed that to Mr. Dodson. I've expressed the dire
It would appear that
crisis.
he doesn't approve, he personally doesn't approve of the applicants who applied.
We got to get that started. I'm here to help because I know the civil service process.
So
being
can
chair.
you let us know the process from opening a test to hire and how long that would take? Because if we're looking to be down to 12 cops in January, and we don't even have a civil service commission, from now
It takes
to
months.
hiring a cop, when can we do that?
You saw how long it's taken to hire, and again, it's not political, it takes a long time. The Civil Service Commission, you have to advertise, I believe it has to be 60 days. So it's a certain amount of, either 30 or 60 days.
One audience member here knows the process.
And then you have to actually hire either a firm that does, I know McCann, there's a firm that we've outsourced in the past to do it, to take, it comprises an oral exam and a written exam. And then we have to do the physical agility test once they pass that. And then they're ranked, a physical agility test, which comprises of running, you run around the track for, I think, a mile and a half in 12 minutes or something like that. Then psychological test and a background check test. So the process could take up to at least 6 to 9 months, I think.
It looks like we have questions.
Yeah, Kyle, you had a question?
I just have a quick question. I mean, obviously, if the Navy is going to be in such a dire public safety crisis, basically, with so few officers, are there any considerations being made for temporary stopgap community measures? Because, I mean, obviously, there's no alternative to policing and pull the hire police officers back. But as a stopgap, are there any plans or contingencies towards council? I mean, there are 6 council members. It could be a good exercise in addressing this issue. I mean, if everyone came to the next meeting with one idea, community-based, that's 6 ideas.
One thing to explain the process, one stopgap measure is to hire more part-timers, which we did. The prior, again, but I'm just trying to let, the prior chief got around it when we were by hiring part-timers. And we were anyway, we fluttered anywhere from a dozen to about 20 part-timers. Problem with part-timers is most of them want regular jobs. So we started to lose them very quickly, and then we couldn't replenish them. And then if you have a cessation of all that, then it's hard to catch up.
Well, my worry is that, I mean, we're dealing with it another area. I mean, we are starting, like, the decline of our police department.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we are starting to run out of officers, even out the Darby.
Yeah.
The worry is.
And you guys got what, like 80?
We have 130.
Okay, 130, okay.
And we're starting to run out officers to hire, and they got good benefits and May. My worry is that the situation shows no signs of improvement, and it could get a lot worse, and if we don't prepare now.
See, that's the thing. Once you start getting behind, it's hard to catch up. Colleen, you had a,
I need to disrespect anyone, but it's also my view that even if you have police department here, that there were violations of policies. And I understand that police have concern about short staffing, but if the police officers are not following the policies on the books, or if you're not members and they don't have an understanding usually of what the policies are, all the same concern about
Okay.
police officers.
Cannot prevent it.
and let me say this about policy. We do have a policy that was updated in 2019. And with this last incident, that was reviewed by, after the first death, and the policy was still not followed. In my day job, we have a lot of policies, and we're overseen by the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, New Jersey State Oversight, Pennsylvania State Oversight, OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, PennDOT, and New Jersey all these. And we have where you have to sign off and training galore. And the fact is, your policies could be as great and as up-to-date as they can be. If it's not enforced, it's almost no good.
And
So
if we don't have enough room
and
for training.
And if you don't have enough room for training or staff, it impinges on our ability to do that. Okay, it impinges. And again, I have the most experience in this, and you'd think they would ask me. And I don't want to get into it.
Mayor,
All
Mayor,
right, but
you need
anyway,
to rest.
okay.
I have a question.
All right, okay.
With all of this
Okay,
dysfunction going on, I mean, it's a mess. It's just a mess, to say the least. Now, what we never talked about was how it was going to financially impact us with the fact that we can't house our own prison. The fact that, it's a possibility that we may have to call the state in. There are finances attached to those remedies. It's not like Upper Darby's just want to say, oh,
Correct.
okay,
Correct.
we just.
You can pay me now on the front end, or you're gonna pay on the back end, but you're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, so.
And there's no compromise for public safety.
Right.
If you don't have public safety, you don't have anything.
Right.
So I guess the question is, have we explored what the cost is so we can try to prepare for it?
We're going through that. The MOU would spell that out. I'm not sure what. Upper Darby has done that. They have that understanding with next door Melbourne Public Houses.
So
Yeah,
could
so-
you,
Yeah,
that acronym, could you tell? the
MOU's
audience?
Memorandum of Understanding. So that it's, where it's a quid pro quo or whatever, a reciprocation of, we'll house them for a certain amount of finances under certain conditions, there's indemnity things where our Lord, Mr. Boggs is in on this, where he's going to look it over with their lawyers, and as long as it's hunky-dory, it has to be done.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's.
For the MOU?
No,
To this?
that wasn't the question. I think we said how long will it take for our jail to get right so we can hold our own prisoners?
Oh, okay. As long as, I said, three things has to happen. I'm not gonna allow us to hold prisoner until we have the chief issue settled. There is a chief, whoever that is. Number two, we're up to full staffing, so we're not compromised. And then number three, what's number three? Yeah, all the investigations have to be concluded with the recommendations for change. Those are the three things.
And the proper
Counselor,
updates have been made.
Councilor Jones.
yeah, all the update, and all the updates, yeah.
Councilor Jones.
Yeah,
Waters has a question.
Counselor Jones Waters?
So, Mr. Mayor,
Uh-huh.
please answer this question as far as, do we still have 2 officers that are on desk duty?
Yes.
Okay.
Not desk duty. We have
They've been taken off the streets,
The main officer has been taken off the streets, yes.
main officer.
Yes.
How long? For how long?
Since the incident.
So my,
I mean, but how, is it?
What
This
the,
is, and this,
what
What is
the
the
discipline?
Yes.
you advise against not speaking about personnel discipline.
This is
Our
not-
force is this big.
Yeah.
We run into some.
it's important to know.
I could tell you,
It's important to
I could-
know
I could
that.
tell. I will
Because
tell.
have constituents that are
Okay,
really
I'll tell you.
passionate about it.
I'll tell you,
Thank you.
on advice of counsel,
Monroe.
That's
I
also
can't talk
public
about the
safety.
specific discipline, publicly, but I'll let you know.
Okay, well,
But-
you answered my question. I want to know
Yeah.
how many officers, was it still the
Two.
two that was taken off the streets?
Two.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great.
so the two are still off the streets?
Tell all the criminals.
The one is, the other has served the amount of time, I believe, and has been put back. So the other is a more substantial, discipline.
So were those numbers, included in the
No.
two that you, okay?
No, they're not included because this is temporary.
Okay, okay. I have a couple of other questions, in
Okay.
reference to the Public Safety Committee that citizens have been, asking me about. One was, and I know the engineer covered about the speed bumps. So, I had a member ask me, could it be, you know, not just placing the speed bumps there, but, I guess within the street? You know how some communities, I've been in some communities where they made the bumps out of the street,
Asphalt.
the asphalt. Okay, so would that be, something, because I'm hearing like the 400 of Arbor, the 400 of Laurel, around the school areas and
Billing.
stuff, it's really
Yeah,
bad
that's-
there.
that's
Not stopping at the
yeah.
stop signs.
And that's become more and more of an issue as we increase, the traffic has increased.
And I would,
And we can't put speed bumps on every street.
yeah, I understand that, I
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
that.
so it has to be carefully looked at, and it's something that I was looking at for the prior chief before, and it's always a work in progress.
Also, the other concern is no police presence by the schools. So Evans School, they're flying in the
And that's true.
So there's no police
People-
presence right there.
And people have, Counselor, have complained to me there's no lack of police presence in schools. I've been told there's a lack of police presence in the social space in the 700 block. And I've told them that because
Everywhere.
we don't have the staffing, that's why. We don't have the
All
staffing.
right, so, okay, one more.
And I'll get you in the second column.
I have a constituent, or two, that keeps calling me, with concerns with being harassed by the police. So, we want to make sure. But look, I can't help if people call me about concerns, so that is a concern of a constituent or two.
Tell them to
so-
call me. If it has,
So, you want to know, so.
you give them my number and you could give
They're
them
being
my,
harassed by.
yeah, you
police
could give them
officers.
my cell number and I will investigate that.
So
But let me say,
attending these public safety meetings where people are bringing all of these concerns, because I haven't heard anything of, I haven't been.
You
I
haven't
Well,
don't-
you
been there.
don't go to any meetings, so I don't even.
And-
Here.
Questions. You don't go to.
And-
Always.
and I will say to you, I'm not,
I'm here.
all right,
Half of the
Colleen.
time, she's not here. Go ahead.
But I just want confirmation for the public that none of the officers involved with the 2,000 themselves are on the duty of watching the monitors. That's not any of their jobs, right?
No,
For both incidents.
for both incidents.
So including the officers that were not necessarily the person that was trying to work out, their jobs is never going to be safer. They're paying a bunch of extra.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're not holding prisoners, so no one,
I know, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that even if you were to choose.
yeah, if we were to change that, they, unless, we go through some very stringent, yeah, so, because, Ms. Hakima, huh?
What's the status of the Bowery report?
I'm sorry?
Bowery
Valori.
Yeah. Where's it stand? I'm not sure. That's under the direction of Madam President. So I have not been apprised of where the Valari
It's due at December 31st.
It's due at the end of this
It's
month?
due the end of
Okay.
the month. The 4-month, it was a 4-month
It's a
study.
4-month.
So it ends December
It's
31.
it's due December 31st, I'm told. Okay? Huh?
Yes, it'll be released to the press and
So where are they
and to
with
the
the
council.
search? Because we gave them their contract as well, no bid.
That's in process.
So, okay. So Mayor, I think you skipped over my
No,
question. Have you
okay.
been attending the meeting?
Now, I
Okay.
attended the first one, and many of them were canceled, so I did, and one I came, and nobody showed up, so.
Well, I don't know what
Okay,
you're
so
talking about,
Mayor,
with
I
that,
would
but you're
recommend
welcome to
that, I would
contact me.
recommend that
because
whatever
if not,
this
then
But if they have problems with the
you are
police,
welcome to
yeah,
contact
yeah,
me.
let,
Please
By all
contact me.
means, because the
So
one
Mayor,
gentleman
I would
was given
expect that
$750 worth of citations.
okay.
I
Yeah,
would
We'll have to.
suspect that our head of public safety would be invited to the public safety.
Please contact me, Mr. Mayor, so we can collaborate.
See, and I don't want to go through that, yeah, because.
What's the agitation?
All right,
What's
let's,
the agitation?
All right, anything else? Anything else? Any other question before I move on?
That's a Colleen.
Uh,
Mr. Green.
Mr. Green?
I have a question about part-time.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be part-timers? The reason why I'm saying that is because, you know, you have these guys coming in here. They don't need it. And I'm saying this because they're not from this community. They won't care about us. That's my problem with part-timers. We need full-time, not part-time. Because we need them to know us. We need to know them. Right now, I'm not gonna beat up on officers here, but they will speak to you. I believe it at that.
We prefer full-timers, that's well taken, and that works better, but, you get them anywhere you can. All right? Anyone else? Okay.
Let's get the other.
Okay. All right, thanks for your time and for listening, okay?
Thank you, Mayor, thank you, appreciate it. Okay. Next on our agenda, our committee reports. Councilor Jones Waters, you want?
No,
You've already shared.
I already addressed the issues.
Okay. Community Affairs Counselor Loren Johnson, of course, is not here
Sorry, can
tonight.
Councilor Jones Waters let us know
That's
when her
you.
next
Oh,
meeting would be?
So.
Recreation, right, okay. Kind of like a combination.
Wednesday of the month.
The fourth Wednesday?
Wednesday of the month.
Can you say it louder so we can hear? We might.
The fourth Wednesday of the month. My committee hasn't changed. So.
The fourth Wednesday every month, the time. I know the time. but you all
6
don't know
o'clock.
the time.
6 o'clock.
And the
6
location?
o'clock. Right here. The Borough Hall.
Boy, you're so enthused.
Excuse me?
You said you're so enthused.
But she knows when my meeting is, so.
Other people
Okay,
don't.
excuse me,
Listen,
Council.
other people don't. So speak loud so
Right,
they
you
can
don't
hear.
have to- you
And the
don't
last
have to.
time I came to your meeting, you was there and said to me, it's canceled.
Yeah, that was what, months ago, and it was?
You, it doesn't matter. Well, you was there and you said the meeting was canceled.
Okay,
Listen, I
Councilor,
had to be back with you.
Time out, time out, time out. All right, time out, time out. All right, time out, folks.
I also want to mention that Councilor Johnson, Loren Johnson, who is the chair for two different committees, her committees are going to meet the third, or the Wednesday before before the council meeting.
Wait, I'm
Some
sorry,
months,
what?
yeah, this is how she explained it to me. The Wednesday before the council meeting, council meetings are every third Thursday. But as you go through the calendar from December into 2023, there are 2 or 3 months where that's the second Wednesday before the council meeting. So just to be on the safe side, and it doesn't take much to remember, that Wednesday before our legislative third Thursday session, Councilor Loren Johnson will hold her meetings, her committee meetings, which include, she has recreation, and she also has, pardon me?
Public Works.
Public Works, And she's also the liaison to the Yaden Economic Development Corporation. She'll be reporting on all of those activities and information to provide to you and to the council.
Can we get date, a time, and a location as well? And then will any of this information appear on the borough calendar on our website?
Yeah, I think that's the standard. I think that's the standard thing to.
Should let the room rest.
Well, I'll let her. I'll let her. It's nothing changed from month to month or year to year.
Those things need to be up.
We got you.
What's there is not
Yes.
what you're saying.
And you've mentioned it.
What kind of ban?
Okay.
Yeah.
no.
But it's not the 9 hours ban when our committee meetings are.
President Harris, what's the
There's not anything you with your wife.
President Harris,
I think are they like 6 o'clock?
Let's move it along. I don't know. if
I'm
we
not
wanna
sure.
change this.
Well, just check the website or count. One thing about Counselor Loren Johnson, she gives her personal telephone number. She makes that available to any constituent, any resident. So we'll make sure that if you have a question, call the office and they can give your number to her and you can reach her directly. What I'd like to move forward with right now is the police department's report, followed by the fire department's report and emergency management.
Public Works.
Yes, absolutely, Public Works, we'd like it in that order. Thank you.
I'm Inspector Wormley. I'm filling in for Director Stokes. He had a very busy weekend, officially and personally. So I'm going to go over the Code Enforcement Department report as well as the Emergency Management report for November 2022. Zoning use application, there was none. Zoning hearing application, none. Hotspots, Parkview Court Apartments still having issues with illegal dumping. Rear Crossing Apartments still having issues with excessive trash on Monday morning due to trash being placed there by others who don't even live in the complex. Action items, 517 Church Lane, Africa Lift has been receiving citations for not complying with the removal of the front wall sign that's over 20 square feet per borough ordinance. Administrative search warrant was also served. Code is working with the owner to see if the county has any programs to help senior residents. Fire-related issues, there was one. Dumpster fire at Evans School, November 25th, was initially set. After investigating this fire by Code Director / Fire Marshal Stokes and the supervisor of the school safety and security, Gary Richards, the perpetrators were apprehended and charged by the school district. Closed items, court case between Forest Creek tenant, landlord issue with code violations by property owner, sewer issue in tenant's apartment. Upcoming items, there will be another zoning appeal hearing on January 4th, 2023, second floor, Borough Hall. PACO, Pennsylvania Association of Code Officials, having their yearly Christmas luncheon December 8th, 2022. Important issues. We need to appoint a new zoning officer as well as appoint a member to the Planning Commission. 2022 paid property maintenance abatements for November. We had a total of $4,275. Total year to date is $32,581.10. Code Department revenue for November 2022 stood at $19,769.50. Emergency Management report for November 2022. The Yaden Borough Emergency Management works with all borough departments, other agencies to keep advised of all emergencies that may impact the Yaden Borough. There is an upcoming emergency management coordinator meeting on December 14th, 2022 at the Delaware County Emergency Services Building in Middletown Media to go over items and issues from the county. Christmas fire safety statement. It's the time of the year. Always remember to check your Christmas electrical items for damaged cords and lights. If any are found, discard them and buy new. Also do have to leave don't leave festival candles lit unattended. That's the end of my report.
Any fire fire smoke detectors or?
We had, I think we only got like 15 of them from the city this year, so we didn't get the normal allotment.
And do you have the date for the tree lighting ceremony?
That's Public Works.
Okay, get you there. Okay. All right, thank you. Public Works next.
So, Council President, I noticed that we do have a recreation and community development report. Are you able to give the report in Prince absence so the
No, ma'am.
public came out to get the information?
No, ma'am.
The report is submitted.
Go ahead, Mike.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good
I have a
evening,
few
Mike.
dates to update you on our e-waste. Last e-waste for the year will be December
Talk a little
30th.
bit more into that mic, I can't quite hear you.
Our
Can-
end of the, oh,
There you go.
the leaf season will end December 20th or the week of. Anybody has any questions about that, they can call the Department of Public Works. Trash will be on schedule for Christmas and New Year's, and we do apologize for the mix-up around the Thanksgiving holiday. And the last thing is our rain garden is completed at the Guthrie Avenue parking lot. It's been planted, and we're looking forward to see some new plants go in the springtime. I'd like to open up any discussions, questions for anybody.
Council.
My question is really, well, it's a question and a statement. Why wasn't anything put on the borough website and or the newsletter regarding the way the trash was always collected around the holidays until after the fact?
I cannot answer that question. There was a mix-up with the trash company and the contract, and the way it was read through a previous employee that we had. It was a mix-up, absolutely.
Because, you had trash sitting out on the curbs for like a week.
It was not a nice situation, and we tried to remedy it the best we could.
I have a question as well. Regarding your crosswalk and pedestrian signs, the ones that are in a state of disrepair and hazard, causing people flat tires on a Saturday night, how often are they monitored, repaired, and what happens when it does cost a resident?
They're actually monitored daily and repaired every other day. They are knocked over and run over, and we can't be everywhere at all times.
And so the one that was outside of Pat's Deli, that the reflector piece had been going for a while. And I actually noticed the one on Church Lane, further down, the one, like I said, the end of the 700 block, like that, the reflector is going there as well.
Yes.
So when that base is sitting there in the dark street with 5-inch bolts sticking out of it, I think it becomes more of a hazard than anything that's a benefit to the public.
Very true. That one did miss my vision on there. That's the other ones have been removed, and we replace them at least once a week.
Have you thought of something else or something more permanent?
I'm not going to replace them until we find a better solution for these, because they are definitely a hazard, and they're being run over by whomever drives down the street, purposely or not.
But just if anybody's curious about what happens when you run them over, your tire can't be repaired, not the front one or the back one. Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Donna Samuels.
Fine. I'm questioning where are we with respect to the promotion of Mark Maxey to the position of mechanical foreman? Where are we?
Where?
Maybe if we had people in their proper positions, we would be able to keep up on some of these things, such as supervising all of these pedestrian signs and things.
That's personnel,
So I'm speaking to Mike.
It's-
Can't answer it.
So where are we with that?
I do not know where we're at. Next council
Do
meeting.
your department still require?
Yes, it does.
mechanical foreman? How long has your department been waiting for that? Months.
At least 3 months.
Now, see, this is what I'm talking about.
So if, for those who may not have been present, because everyone doesn't come to every meeting, months ago, Mr. Maxey was recommended by Isaac Dotson to be appointed to that position, and for some reason, other counselors intervened and prevented that from happening. We don't know why. We also don't want, in this staffing crisis, we don't want to lose another employee, so we need to do right by the ones that we have.
That is a personnel issue, and so
It's
this
a
is not
personnel
a
issue
discussion
that has
for the
still
floor.
has
That
yet
is not
to
a
be
discussion
addressed.
for the floor.
And
They
Counselor,
said last meeting that it was going to be addressed,
It
and
does
it
not have
has
to be
yet to
filled
be
either.
addressed.
It might be
Well,
any other
recommendation
pertaining to
by
the
Isaac
board.
Dotson.
And it was a recommendation by the borough manager.
yeah, that's what's happening down at the other end of the table. It's at the other end of the table.
You're talking, so you need to just finish talking. Exactly. I appreciate that. Thank you. So again, we were supposed to have a personnel meeting to discuss whatever issues there were so that we can get that public works department up and running properly. Now, Mr. Maxey was highly recommended by the borough manager that they claim is so good at his job, but he misses out on grants and deadlines for grants. He recommended him. We were ready to vote on him, and then these two decide they don't want him.
Don't throw shade.
Then they decide they don't want him, because they want to get their little friends and family in the position, which is not going to happen. Do right by these employees.
This is personnel,
Do
it's
right
not
by
a
these
discussion
employees.
on this floor. It's
He
not a
needs his
discussion.
promotion, do
It's
right
not a
by it.
discussion on this
Do
floor.
right by the employees. That's all I'm saying. Until your department is up and running efficiently with the proper position
Okay.
filled,
Counselor,
you're not going to get the services that we're supposed to get. You might be
Ms.
already
Donna
doing
Samuels has a
great.
question.
Committee,
Donna Samuels has a question. Hold on, sir.
definitely.
Would you please, excuse me, ladies, please, I'm waiting to hear.
I'm on a whole different subject. I'm wondering about the lights on Longacre Boulevard. Did you give a progress report on lights on Whitney and what's happening with them?
Those lights are up to par, they're up to state standards down there, and all those lights are lit. I think there's one repair we need to make down there.
What about the one by 1400?
That's the one we need to make the repair on.
And so you're gonna fix that?
That's gonna be repaired, but the rest of them down the road are absolutely up to state standards.
Do not threaten.
They're up to state standards.
They are.
Stop
And Philly won't put it anymore up at the top of the road?
Okay.
We don't got no
I can only ask.
Thank you.
She don't have to be like by date, please. Let us stop no threats.
I don't know what you're talking
Stop
about.
threatening.
I don't even talk
Stop
to
threatening.
you.
All right, guys.
Another rigorous pass for chair. We go on. And don't accidentally stop and we go on.
All right, guys. All right, next.
Lieutenant, please. Okay. Oh, answer this question, answer her question, and we're moving on. Thank you.
Don't throw threats.
You have the chief, you have the acting chief here.
Okay, guys.
Answer her question. Please be quiet, you're out of it. Please ask your question. Counselor, don't say anything.
All right.
Go ahead, ask your question,
Reel it in.
please.
Let's reel it in.
My question, Mike, is the Christmas tree at the circle there. There's no star on the top of that tree. When are we going to get a star there?
Weather permitting, probably Thursday, that's when it'll be installed. It had to be repaired.
And what
Is that the light, the tree light, is that the same
is
as the
that?
tree light?
Normally,
No,
Anybody that we know first.
What is it?
That's a roundabout on Longacre.
normally, the meters are covered with bags during the holiday. Have they been?
They haven't been put on. I think the gentleman is not well. The gentleman that does that handles that every year, he's not well. And so I think they have to make some arrangement to have someone else put them there.
So in that manner.
You want to describe with him what you're talking about?
Yes, we'll take care of them. I'll talk to Lieutenant.
Got it. The meter bags, the covers that says you don't have to put any money in the meter during the holiday
The second
season.
portion to that is, if I park there, will I get a ticket because that bag is not there? How will that be handled?
He's gonna ticket you.
Not just me.
You'll be guaranteed to get a ticket, Clara. Just you.
As far as Mr. Maxey is concerned, Mr. Maxey comes with a skill set. He is a certified electrician. And if we do not hire him, we will have to outsource if there's anything wrong with our electric here in the borough. So I implore, vote for him.
I understand you're an advocate for him, but like I said, this is a personnel issue and it will not be discussed.
Can you please put that on the agenda?
You can't discuss personnel matters in this public forum. It's against the borough code. Come on, sweetheart. One more. And there's another question out there too, maybe two. Trying to make it good.
Their jobs and enforce that people put their trash in trash cans with lids and containers. The trash misunderstanding at Thanksgiving would have been much less of an issue. But my main question was, how much money is the borough going to have to pay to outsource electrical work if we don't have Ricardo Maxey, a licensed electrician? Because he could easily get a better job with PECO. He's a linesman, he's got the skills, he can go anywhere, he's in demand. And Talia said she's got someone else in mind at a meeting.
You don't know that I said that. You don't know that I said that. Really? It don't even matter. It's a personal issue. It doesn't even matter.
Is a licensed electrician.
Well, electrician is not a requirement for that position. It's not a requirement for that position. Well, you need to be clear. You should be clear.
Was
speaking,
and I'd like to speak after I'm done talking. That can be your prerogative.
Oh, please, come on now. You have to be clear in what you're saying. Okay, if you're not clear in what you're saying, then you shouldn't talk. You shouldn't talk about something that you don't have. That is not a requirement for that position. You talked about an electrician, but that's not a requirement.
It's a good skill set. This man brings to the Public Works Department.
Do you know him yourself? Because this is a personnel issue. You get secondhand information, and that's not fair to anyone. That's not fair to anyone. You're getting secondhand information. It's not fair to anyone. No, it's not. It's hearsay. It's hearsay. It's hearsay. It's hearsay. It's not. The horse don't know. The horse don't know. No, the horse don't.
She said the horse.
Mr. Ed. Hey,
The horse doesn't know.
now we talk to Mr. Ed.
Ridiculous.
Hey, listen. Oh, guys. Next.
Mike.
Mike.
You know what, this is really, let me have a girl. Seriously, this is a joke. This is really a joke. These people, I know I came out for a meeting, and I'm thinking that that's what y'all came out for, a meeting. This has been a circus, a big joke up here. If y'all start working together, we can get more done, but y'all are not even together.
It is.
There's friction among y'all. Y'all can't even talk to each other. But yet, y'all are running the borough. Right. Y'all are examples to be running and we're paying taxes just like you are. But this is a big joke. If y'all get it together, I believe a lot will be done. I can hear it. I know some of you have it, but you're not even presenting yourself. You're playing a big joke on each other. You can't even talk to each other.
I agree.
So y'all really need to work on it. Work on yourselves as a group.
Yeah.
And then come and call a meeting for us.
Thank you.
Because right here, this is a waste of time. Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Graham, the council majority has been this way since January 3rd. Nothing has.
Okay.
Ms. Graham, you've
Come
been
on,
to meetings.
Mr. Green has the floor. Stop being rude. Mr. Green, it's all politics, ma'am. It's politics. Mr. Green.
Branches off the trees. I thought about those trees on that rock. The pastor came out and asked me, who was I? I'm telling him I'm a concerned resident, and these trees should not go. Now, I heard something early part of the summer, and it's now getting ready to go to the new year, and look at the trees. Who takes care of the trees where the pastor is at? Because he said, y'all told him he's supposed to take care of it. So now, well, no, I'm just, when he was arguing, this is why he asked you what anything like. But once again,
No.
what we pay around here, and the way that this place looked 30 years ago, I was getting 83, and yay, them went down.
Crashing burn.
I'm just letting you know how it looks around here. I have called to say, your guys do a great job. That's one thing. I'm the one that called and said, they do a great job compared to the school district guys. But still, things have to be done during that proper time. And some are, well, okay, the leaves are falling off now. Do it now. It's easier to do it now. Okay.
Quality of life is not a priority with some of these
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Lieutenant.
Good evening, everybody. So for the month of November, the department responded to
Please.
639 calls for service. 9 traffic citations were issued. 4 non-traffic. You can see the parking tickets are down this month, as you're well aware of our parking enforcement officer medical situation. We are looking to hire a parking enforcement officer. I'm sorry? So that, in regards to the question about the bags on the meters, they'll be going up this week. I have to find the bags. He was the only one that's for 30 years been putting them on there. So we got to figure out what he did with them. Obviously, we had a very rough month for November. In regards to the homicides, I just want to make the public know that they are safe. These aren't, there's puzzle pieces that will be put together to see why they're connected to the actors, but these aren't random things. You're safe to walk your dog. You're safe to go about your normal life. This is not something that you need to worry about as a public. We do have staffing issues, major issues coming up, so I will be restructuring squads and moving things around to try and do our best to keep as many officers on the street as we can, especially during the peak hours. Other than that, I open up to questions. Yeah.
My question, in light of that recent shooting on in the municipal box, I was told that there are cars that are allowed to stay in that lot overnight.
There's permit parking for overnight in that lot. You can purchase permits for that lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that, because I've seen some vehicles in that lot that didn't even look like they were operable. So I'm kind of feeling like having cars sit in that lot all night long, I kind of feel like it's unsafe. Because,
Sure.
I mean, overnight,
If
it's
there's
not
any that are
much
just,
light
especially if they're just sitting there, then they're at the point that they're just being abandoned at that point. We can you know,
But there
act on
was
that.
actually a family living.
Yes, we're familiar with
In
that
that
family.
lot.
We're familiar with that family. They have been given every resource to find adequate housing that the county offers. We had moved them from blocks. I didn't realize that they were in that parking lot. You know, they happened to be there the night of the shooting. They have moved on from there. Unfortunately, they're a homeless family. And we've had contact with them before. We've given them all the numbers for the county that they've got assistance from. That's the best we could do with that is just.
Well, I understand, and I'm not even asking that you provide assistance, but I'm just speaking from a standpoint of a safety issue. Just having cars there overnight, especially knowing that we do not have adequate police staffing. And it's dark in that area. And we still have the issue with, what is that, Revere Crossing, literally right around the corner from there, with that nonsense going on. So,
And I don't know offhand if there's no overnight parking signs up there, but something I can discuss with Mike and see if we can get some if there's not.
yeah,
And,
because like I said, if there's no real supervision as to what's going on in that parking lot, I just think it's not a good thing. We should just make sure there's no vehicles on the lot at all, period.
Well, that could be something that we can explore, is similar to like community park with locking the gate. Maybe we put a chain up. You know, I assume we'd have to do the same thing at Whitney.
I'm sorry, I just want to say, there are residents who have parking permits for that lot. And so what do you do with those residents if you tell them they can't park there at nighttime? Now, what the problem is that there's no designation in that lot for the reserved spots. Now, that's a problem. That's a definite problem. But there are residents who are paying monthly to reserve spots there because they don't have parking available to them. That I know for a fact.
Yeah, so not get that, but here too, my issue is the safety issue. I understand the residents, they pay for parking permits and all that, but when you have a shooting and one of the suspects is able to jump into a car to hide that was sitting on the lot, and then you have other families, homeless families, that's also in the lot, and all of this is going on, no supervision, that's a problem for us. We don't have the adequate staffing in the police department. And to have empty cars sitting there overnight is just.
I agree with you. So for people who have the designation, there should be designated signs saying about reserved parking.
So I think that we just need, well, first I really want to commend you for offering the resources. That's the type of community policing that we do need when we have interactions with people who, who may not have all of the things that they need. So thank you for doing that. But, we have to understand that, for our public safety, we are going to have to make some compromises and rethink some of the way that we do things with the resources that we have. As our resources dwindle, we may not have the luxury of offering overnight parking to residents because we don't have enough police officers to go around and make sure that nothing is happening. Like we can't just keep saying, tunnel vision and go straight forward when our resources are dwindling. If we don't have police officers to go check this spot, the lot probably should be closed.
I'm concerned about doing drastic things.
Right, but we only can do what's safe and what we have money for. And we may have to sacrifice some of the conveniences if we don't get it together. Now, mind you, if we find another option, then that's different, but, we can't have, if it's a safety issue, that has to be paramount. I see a hand over here.
Are you done?
Senator.
Yes, ma'am.
Goodness.
Anything after that?
I think that's what we were just talking about.
Right, we're just talking about we need to revisit
Yeah.
the policies to make it safe.
Make without permission.
I'm up for whatever council would decide.
Yeah, Council and the
Yes, Mr. Green.
Highway Department.
Safety. I'm gonna ask you a question. Bellbrook, Furnace Street is I guess, one-way street out. I'm the safety guy for this area. I'm the guy that gets signs up to slow down. I got police officers that takes it down, throwing it in front of my house. The other thing is, from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, there should be patrol out there for our future. Our future are the young people. And when I call, they come and they look at me, say, Mr. Green, and they go about their business. I hear that you're saying you're sure, but I don't want to hear it. Because what I don't want to do with dog, get out there and do what you got to do, save our children.
Mr. Green, Mr. Green.
Oh, please.
Mr. Green,
Uh,
Mr. Green, what do your signs say?
What I'm trying to
No, I mean, I'm just saying, maybe it's that, because I believe that I've seen your signs, and I think they may be on cardboard. But
No,
if
they're
they,
all.
they're, I see.
They're all.
No, I'm just asking you.
Okay.
Like, listen to my question.
Okay.
My question is, what do the signs say? If the signs say something like
slow down.
caution, slow down, those are signs that we could probably get printed permanently, so you don't have to put them up on cardboard.
No. I've done asked for something. Now, how can you go buy those yellow signs to put in there and you only buy a few?
Oh, I'm just asking, so I'm trying to
trying to slow down.
Okay.
Mr. Green, so you know, those yellow signs were a trial run. All right, we're ordering more. They were a trial run, and we found out that more people want
The
them.
ones with the stakes in the ground?
I want safety around here.
Okay.
I want officers out there doing school, and then you can go. I've been fighting y'all for a whole year, since September 15th, my anniversary. My first person I had was Mr. Chief. He stopped me from what I was doing, trying to bring the beauty back to the outside of the school. Nobody, I know I'm going off, man, but this has something to do with the police too. They told me I cannot walk on the side of the school. They said I cannot walk on the side of the school. One of the officers, I said, oh, I got to walk in the street. This way you can't do it. I'm tired of these people telling me what I can't do. Now today, my daughter's birthday was today. About 1:40, I'm at the gas station. I'm in there. I see my daughter go down there. I run out, I'm yelling to her. Do you know Officer Kane, he was gonna lock me up, telling me I cannot yell?
Thank you.
Y'all rather, see, I gotta say this. They had came to my house many times, but when I want them, they don't come. One came in my house, and when I opened up the door, I said, get up on my porch. That night they locked me up. They put handcuffs on me. How dare you? I'll talk to y'all later.
Right.
All right, unless there's any other questions.
I think that's it.
Okay. Mr. Hunter, for Recreation, an updated, upcoming events for the borough leading out of December 2022. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In case you haven't looked, the rain garden, Gunther and Church Lane is done. It's working fairly well. We've had a ton of rain in the past couple of weeks.
Yes.
Excuse me, and I think we've diverted a lot of that rain off the parking lots and going into the street. So it's working fairly well. The plants and the shrubs have been put in. We're going to put more signage and flowers out there in the spring. So that's working well. Now we're looking for other locations to put a rain garden or other rain gardens to divert some of the stormwater coming off. We have a plan to put something at Community Park and some other locations. The other thing I wanted to say about, excuse me, the Stormwater Coalition is that we have the opportunity to get grant money. By the way, the rain garden was paid for by a grant from the Stormwater Coalition. I think it was $19,500, about that. So we can get more money, but what we need to do is have council appoint a shade tree commission so we can start to get more grant money. We want to start to fill in some of the trees. If you see the parking lot out in the back, trees are gone, so you probably have more lighting. But we are putting in new trees. There's some other locations around Longacre, around the circle, where we want to put in some more flowers and some more shrubbery. And we want to start to put in some new trees where the old trees were just coming apart and are starting to age. So that's a request from council to put together a stormwater commission. It's not a committee, so it has to be appointed by council.
It's stormwater or shade tree?
Shade tree, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Shade tree. So we can get going with that into the new year. The Stormwater Coalition has a lot of money that really will help us with that. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is the school district is putting in a new track and field, football, softball, baseball facility at Kerr Field. I think the residents need to be aware that they need to be involved in this. This is going to be a big, big production. Traffic, of course, but also, too, we want to work with the school district to have this done correctly. There are a lot of things going on with the school district, so I just wanted to give you a heads up as to what's going to happen in the spring with the new track and field facility and who's going to use it, how it's going to be used, the size of it, that kind of thing.
Okay. And
Any
about
other
the
questions?
tree lighting?
Well, it looks like we're going to have to do something with the tree outside. So we're probably looking at the tree lighting hopefully next Friday to get that going. So yeah, that's what we're looking forward to.
Not this Friday, next Friday.
Next Friday, I think we're looking at next Friday. Yes.
Were you involved with the Urban Roots Farm?
Yes.
How did that go? I think the program culminated recently. Right?
Yeah, it did. It culminated on the 16th of November, and Jack the farmer, his name is Jack Goldstein, we call him Jack the farmer. He's really proud of the eight. We've done a great job of having people come in, 25 weeks of getting vegetables. It worked very well. He said that this has probably been the best experience that Urban Roots Farms has had since they started doing the program. Excuse me. So he's looking forward to next year expanding it, see how we can do a few more things. We have Penn State Urban Gardening involved. So we're going to have some. We want to not only expand the Urban Roots Farm, but we want to take a look at to see if we can expand the garden at Community Park. We want to take a look at if we don't have more space to go out. We're looking at going over to Urban Roots and trying to get some ideas for growing things up.
Right.
So we could have a different kind of situation with trellises and things like that. But that again, that was a tremendous experience. So that worked very well.
Okay. So were you involved with our veterans program?
In the what?
With the veterans
Yes, the Veterans Program is the 10th of November. We had 23 veterans and families here. Food provided by Mission Barbecue.
I understand you had a band?
Yeah, there was a band.
A
It wasn't
very
my
loud
band.
band.
It was a band.
A very loud.
Very loud band. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, I didn't know
We'll get into that
anything
right now.
about it.
So,
Yeah,
all right, and I know you're heavily involved with YEAF, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they starting up again?
Starting up again, and if you get a chance to go out and see YEAA, they're going to be running programs, as they always do, out of Evans Elementary School, Bell Avenue, and somewhere I'm missing. Oh, the middle school. Yeah, Penwood Middle School. We're trying to do something with Cypress campus. Excuse me, one of the ideas with the school district is that they're trying to expand not only the Kerr Field piece, but they're looking to add additional classrooms to Evans and to Cypress Street and some of the other schools, Bell Avenue. I think Bell Avenue is listed for 5, 6, 7 classrooms. So they're looking for classroom expansion. So that's why it's a good idea to keep your eye on what's going on with the school district.
Okay. And then the last thing on the recreation report, it says that the Stormwater Coalition will be partnering with the borough to provide trees. Is that, do you mean the Stormwater Coalition?
Yeah, yes, Snowboard Coalition.
Okay, so they'll be, and I guess we'll get more information about that.
We definitely will, because what we want to do, and I think because the borough, we're one of the 8 boroughs that paid into the Stormwater Coalition. There are 8 boroughs involved in the coalition. We have opportunities for significant grant opportunities to do some things around Yaden where we, can deal with stormwater runoff, but also beautification, which is what we really want to do. So I'm going to keep talking and keep trying to push this collaboration with the Stormwater Commission because we can get some things done.
All right, well, thank you for all of your advocacy, and thank you for providing us with the recreation report.
That's right.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hunter. Okay. Colleen Kennedy, residents wishing, and public wishing to speak. Oh, yeah, there was a mic.
Oh, it's in the side.
It's already on.
It was
Talking.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So there's just a couple of things I wanted to quickly go over. I'm really thrilled to find out that the cameras and sound system were just now replaced. Cameras and the sound system without proper observation doesn't do a lot. But I'm glad that those were finally replaced. I want to also note that 4 months passed before the council president actually reached out to the Department of Justice. I think it's really important for us to be based in the facts and how things have presented themselves in terms of all these public safety issues. We still have no ability to watch meetings from home, yet there's a cameraman in the corner that records all the meetings. So I'm just going to publicly remind you that those are public records. And so if we don't receive those files, and if they don't start being posted on the website, we're going to go to the state to make sure that those get released to the public. In addition to that, your minutes online still are inaccurate, so please fix those. We don't have a civil service commission started up. So I'm hoping that by the next meeting, we have a game plan that we're ready to implement to have a civil service commission. And you have not conducted any training or even a public review of the policies governing the police department, which is how we got to the place where 2 different people died of the same preventable reason. So now we have all of this chaos that happened, many hours ago at the beginning of the meeting about a public town hall, a virtual public town hall that's happening tomorrow. And as a person who works in politics and who works in campaigns, it is very transparent to me that no actual arrangements were made with either of the state legislators to come, because if there were an arrangement, they wouldn't now be turning around and saying that there wasn't. That's an easy thing to prove or disprove. So here's what I just want to outline quickly what the community members have actually accomplished during all these months. We've gotten the attention of the U.S. Attorney and the FBI. We've negotiated in partnership with the mayor, an MOU between Yaden Police Department and Upper Darby Police Department so that no one else dies. We've evaluated evidence in the first death that the council president and numerous council members have yet to review themselves. And we filed a Sunshine Act complaint as a result of continued abuse of that position. So in closing, I please ask that you start posting the videos online, that you start following the rules of the Sunshine Act, that you start reviewing publicly the policies of our police departments so we can have confidence in public safety, and stop prioritizing your own political scoring of points and start focusing on all these issues that we've been talking about for months. Thank you.
Is it Damon Gibbs? Diamond Gibbs? It's right under there.
So I know in the beginning of the meeting, we briefly spoke about the town hall, but what was also mentioned during the meeting is respect, and respect is earned as well as trust. And without transparency coming from council president, I don't think any of the residents are actually going to be aware or even get answers that are actually needed for public safety concerns. So I wanted to address, because I already contacted both McClinton's office and Senator Williams. Senator Williams and I and Melita and Kayla and others who are not present tonight, we had a meeting with him on November 22nd. So we briefly discussed Gaydon, and he made it clear that there was not going to be any collaboration going on within the next month. And I also confirmed that with Rudy Taylor this morning, and I'm actually going to read the text. And he said, "Good morning, we received this flyer as well, but made it clear in advance that the senator wouldn't be able to participate in the town hall. He just had a recent surgery and is still trying to get strength and rehab from the surgery. So it's not even the fact that Senator Williams is awaiting surgery. He already had the surgery. He's now in recovery. So it was already noted well in advance that this town hall speaker guest list, it was never actually accurate. So, and even in Clinton's office, she confirmed this morning saying that she was not aware of the event at all, and that the only town hall that she will have going on this month will be December 13th for the 51st Ward, and that's in Philadelphia. So again, if the town hall supposedly is still going to happen tomorrow, there will be no guest speakers. You will not be hearing from the senator, nor state rep, and again, that was obviously never planned out. So you actually want to address the concerns of your residents and the public safety crisis that we are in, we first have to begin with transparency, and I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. So if you want the questions, I really advise reaching out to them directly and demanding and pressuring that they get involved.
Liz?
Yeah, the little dead part on the website with my hours, please.
Well, for starters, I just have to say that it will be really funny if Councilor Lorraine Johnson comes to the floor for a vote for the Civil Service Commission after she assaulted a resident on camera and then filed a false police report, which is a crime. So it will be completely hilarious if you see fit to bring her name to the floor, because I have a lovely little video that I can share when that happens.
And I don't have her application, so
I
just want to appoint.
Oh, Lorenz? You don't
Yeah,
have
I
the
have your
application?
application.
Oh, yeah, because I knew better
Application.
after Owen Wooten's appointment, where the other people who applied at that time did not come to the floor, and you were unaware of the other applicants. I had the foresight to CC my application to everyone on council, and the mayor, and Lieutenant Burns, since they are head of safety. Sharon, nothing you have done this year has made any sense. Nothing you've said, none of your explanations make sense. They don't make sense. You don't make sense. Nothing you're doing is rational. We have 16 officers, 2 in injury, 2 retiring in January, 2 transferring in January. If those 2 officers on injury come back, we'll have 12 officers dividing 21 shifts. Those numbers don't work out. It's not safe for the officers or the residents to have officers working 12 to 18-hour shifts. This is not okay. You had no trouble appointing Owen Wooten way back when, months ago, and you've been stalling ever since. You're driving the officers we do have away. You're no good for the borough. You're making irrational decisions. You're contradicting yourself. All of this is on video. We can watch the videos. We can fact check what you say. We can see your lies. You need to resign.
I see your shirt.
And you want to serve on the Civil Service Commission? You
I
want to serve,
have an excellent...
You want to serve on
Yes.
the Civil Service Commission?
Yes.
You are directing your comments to me.
Yes.
You have been my neighbor
Yes,
for 20
I have,
years.
and I've watched you.
You
and
have,
need to listen to
you
me.
have
You are not
issues.
acting
have, you have issues.
We were good neighbors.
You have issues.
For
I've never had
86
a
years.
cross word with you until you decided that I was your enemy. And
did
you
not
are
decide.
wrong.
I come
And
here
you are wrong.
to
And for
meetings.
meetings after meetings, you come here with this asinine comment.
You do not understand.
You talk
We
about
have
my
the
sister.
internet.
You
We
talk
have
about
the
my
internet.
sister
We
who
can
had
have
Alzheimer's. What kind of
Yes.
person are you?
Yes, your
What kind
sister
of person
has
are you?
Alzheimer's.
Your
At the
father
age
died.
of seven-
Your
my
mother is a
father
good
had non-Hodgkin's
person.
lymphoma.
But guess what?
If anyone cares,
And so you should have had sensitivity for, you are not a good neighbor.
Your medical
That's what
history
you
is
want.
relevant. Your
That's what
medical
you want.
history is relevant.
Take time.
Is it 3 minutes?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your medical history is relevant.
You need medical history and psychiatric history.
You can get a neuro.
And guess what? And guess what? And you need a lawyer. And I need a lawyer for you. You're ridiculous. Anna, you're next. Your bully tactics will not work anymore here. Yes, ma'am.
What about your bully tactic?
What about your mouth?
Bully tactic.
What about yours?
Bullying.
What about your lying? What about your lies?
We are.
What about your misrepresentation? What about
And we are
that?
unsafe. That's all.
You
we
have
do.
the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
You gotta turn the mic up.
I'm going to say.
You have to turn
Excuse
the-
me. No, don't direct. You have a comment.
You gotta
Direct
turn
your
your mic
comments
on.
there.
I'm just going to say one thing to you, Sharon. I think that
If you're going to refer to me, you refer to me as council president.
Council President.
Thank you.
I don't think that comments that people are making are directed to you as a person. I think
Ma'am.
they're directed with
And,
regard to what is
Anna,
being done.
when you first came here.
That's not true.
When you first came, when you,
I'm
do
being
your
timed,
3 minutes, yes.
But I really believe that it's because of the decisions that are being made. I don't think it's directed at a person personally. At least that's the way it's coming across to me. Every single council member that's on council is a member of Yaden, so public safety should be the highest priority. And we need to really take a look with regards to what we're doing with regards to the police force. We are definitely understaffed. It is definitely putting the residents at risk. We need to convene the Civil Service Commission. I'm not quite sure why we're not doing that, but that is something that we really need to be doing. We've been looking at this with regards to months now. We have the applicants. I know that there have been, even in addition to the applicants that we said that have already submitted, I know that there have been other people that have sent notes to Isaac asking if they needed additional applicants. He did not get back to them, so I'm assuming you've got enough applicants to make a decision. One of the other things that I'm concerned about is with regards to these meetings. There are a lot of other people that want to be in attendance at these meetings, but they're concerned, whether it be because of the COVID season, flu season, because it's late at night. We do have an elderly population. There is no reason that we cannot have these in the hybrid, so actually having counselors present and then having it available to the other residents via Zoom. We also had the solicitor actually and the mayor confirming that that is capable, it's something that can happen. One of the things that we talked about, or we heard somebody say, was that the Valori group, that the efficiency study is supposed to be done by the end of the year. There was mention, I know that people can probably get it with regards to the Right New No request. There was somebody said that we're going to actually hand it to the press. I'm not sure that that's the appropriate move. There are some people that would take that to figure out how we could hurt the community with regards to doing that. I'm not coming out and specifically saying what I mean, but I think you can figure out what I'm talking about. And then the only other thing that I have to say, well, actually there's two things. I think it's very important that we have personnel that are aware of how to proceed for grants and that we take the opportunity to get grants when we can. If we have people that are missing grants, we need to find out why. If they're not qualified, then we need to look at getting qualified people. And And the other thing is with regards to answers. We're saying, one of the counselors said that one of her, or several of her constituents asked her about questions. Well, residents are here all the time attending in person. We're asking with regards to expenditures. Why are our questions not being answered? Some of the other residents were told that when they were talking, we can't get an answer now, but we'll give you an answer after the meeting. I know of at least 2 residents, myself included, that went up to one of the counselors after the meeting and was told, no, I'm not going to give you that answer. Well, during the meeting, we were told that we would. So we really need to start looking with regards to transparency, giving our residents the information that they're looking for. And once again, I cannot emphasize, we really do need to do something with regards to public safety. This community is in dire need with regards to that. Thank you.
Clara Johnson.
We need to be careful with citizen forum being at the end. It might be cut off the video.
I know. Do I know? I just want to say that Chief Chachi hired part-timers to keep us safe. 4 counselors put a freeze on hiring. Look where that's gotten us. And don't blame the mayor. Remember, 4 counselors removed him from his duties, took his office, took his seat. Did you ever give that back to him? So please don't blame the mayor for us not being safe here. But what I would say, remove Sharon and bring Chachi back.
All right. Angela Lake.
Good evening. My first concern is public safety.
The mic is underneath.
Okay, my first concern, as always, is public safety. As a daughter of a now deceased police sergeant, I've always been concerned with public safety. I never thought that I would have to go and get a gun permit, but I did. I'm also thinking about getting a weapon, which I didn't want to do, because I don't feel safe here, because we don't have adequate police. I'm very well versed in using a weapon because my father was a cop. And I feel like I'm forced to do that because you won't hire the police and you won't get the Civil Service Commission going. The other concern I have is the town hall for tomorrow. I've been asking all year for Zoom access. Councilor Roadcloud provided that with us, and it was taken away. I don't understand why. Also, my other concern is grants. Every week, I read in the County Times grants that are going on all across the state. I don't think we're applying for them. Everybody around us is getting things, and we're not. And I want to know why. And when Mr. Dodson gets back from his vacation, I'll be asking him that. And I want to know what plans we have for the winter. In the paper yesterday, there's a cold weather plan from the county. Are we doing anything about that? Or do you know what the plan is for the county in terms of accidents? Because there's black ice out there now. I don't know if you're doing anything about that, but I'd like
You can direct that to the...
Okay, what was in the paper? I have a good rapport with him and I can talk.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, and that's basically it. But I really feel bad for my final thing that I have to consider purchasing a weapon or taking over my deceased father's Beretta because you won't do the Civil Service Commission. I'm very accurate with that weapon, don't want to use it. I did the cameras, I did the mace, and now I'm escalating. Please don't make me do that. Hire the police. Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? Anyone else?
I just want to ask you one question, if I may. Your meeting is on the 4th Wednesday in each month, am I correct? How will you report from the floor? Legislative is the 3rd Wednesday.
I can report it that next month. Clara, that's when it's scheduled. Okay, so the
So
report
you're
will
telling
go
me that you could be a month behind in your report?
I sure can.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure it can, yeah.
Yes, Donna.
And again, those issues.
I want to make one other announcement. We lost Maxine Brown, passed away a few weeks ago. And this community has lost a true soldier, a wonderful woman, a godly woman, who really loved and had this town in her heart at all times. And so I just want to announce that tonight. And that also we had, due to COVID, we lost several members of our community, that we will do a memorial statement in our next newsletter, recognizing those residents that have spent 20, 30, 40 years here that was lost to COVID. So yes, Adele, definitely, neighbor of 37 years. She was here 60 years, over 60 years, a resident on Longacre. So we will be making those kinds of commemorations of those residents and recognizing them, that their life and work and being a good neighbor in this town will not be forgotten. Having no more residents wanting to speak, this meeting is adjourned.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Madam President. Some of us got earlier, we thought there was a finance meeting tonight. Is that, what's the date for that?
Actually, let me give you an update. We are in the budget preparation month. Our finance director, Mr. Nichols, was planning to do it wasn't actually for this meeting. He has to first present the preliminary budget that was approved earlier this month, or last month rather. That preliminary budget has to be presented to council directly. The council has to decide what are the priorities for 2023. Once that is done, he is going to have an open presentation to everyone. It will also be in the newspaper for 7 days for residents and anyone else who wants to review them. It will be on our website for residents to review. Then we have to vote and approve that budget by law, by code, before December 31st. That is the budget for 2023.
So no date set for the meeting yet?
No date is set. It will be in December. He will be having a Zoom presentation to counselors on this Thursday, and that is required. And so counselors will join in that Zoom to have a presentation for every aspect, every department, what their wish lists are, what we can afford, what any deficits are. We'll be talking about the stimulus from the government that will help to offset some of the costs, because just like you go to the store to buy eggs or bread and the costs are accelerated, that has happened in this town as well with gasoline prices, et cetera, and cost to do business for this town. So those expenses, those expenditures that are high, that are going to be impacting our budget, and what our recommendations are going to be to that finance director, line item by line item. So that will all happen this month.
Okay, thank you.
So
You're welcome.
today's meeting was rescheduled from last meeting to.
This meeting is adjourned.